Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something the world doesn't want you to hear. Your greatest strength will never come from your victories. It will come from the nights you thought you couldn't go on, from the heartbreak that split you open, from the failures that left you gasping for air. You see, the very pain you've been trying to escape is the same pain that's been forging you, shaping you, preparing you for the life you were meant to live. And I promise you this, by the time we're done, you will no longer run from your pain. You will rise because of it. And here's a pop-out 1,000-word motivational speech on the title. I wouldn't be here without that pain. Written in a Tony Robbins-style voice, without naming him, using no headings, and avoiding an ending statement. And I wouldn't be here without that pain. You wouldn't either. Every single one of us has a story, and inside that story is a moment where life cracked us open. Maybe it was betrayal, maybe it was loss, maybe it was failure so big you thought you'd never recover. But right now, as you're sitting here, breathing, listening, feeling your heartbeat, you're proof that the pain did not break you. It built you. It forged you. It shaped you into someone you could never have become without it. And think about it. Everything you are most proud of, every ounce of strength you have today, every skill, every insight, every moment of courage came from some kind of struggle. When life is easy, we coast, we drift, we get comfortable. But when pain comes, we are forced to choose. Either become bitter or become better. Either shrink or rise. Either let it destroy you or let it define you in a way that propels you forward. And deep inside, you know the truth. You've survived 100% of your worst days. You've already proven you can do hard things. That pain you're still angry about, it's the same quote. The pain that gave you the depth you have today. It's the same pain that gave you empathy, hunger, and drive. Without it, you wouldn't be here. And there's a moment in everyone's life when they hit a wall so hard they can barely breathe. You remember that moment. You remember what it smelled like, what it sounded like, the weight on your chest. You thought it was the end, but it wasn't. That was the initiation. That was the fire that burned away everything that wasn't you. That was the moment you were being reshaped into the kind of person who could handle the life you were destined for. Pain doesn't come to punish you. It comes to prepare you. It comes to polish the edges that are dull, to awaken the parts of you that have been sleeping. You don't build strength in comfort. You build strength under pressure. And every time you've been knocked down, you've learned something about yourself. You've discovered how much resilience you actually have. You've discovered that you can stand back up even when no one believes in you. You've discovered that your spirit is unbreakable. People talk about greatness like it's some magic gift handed down to the lucky few. But greatness is born in the fire. Greatness is born when you're on your knees, when you've got nothing left but your will to keep going. Greatness is born from pain. And so many people spend their lives running from pain. They numb it. They hide from it. They bury it under distractions and excuses. But what they don't realize is that pain holds the key to everything they're chasing. Growth, power, freedom, connection, purpose, all of it sits on the other side of pain. If you run from it, you stay the same. If you face it, you evolve. And when you evolve, your life changes. And think about the people you admire most, the ones who inspire you. Every single one of them has a story of pain. Not just small pain, massive, life, shattering pain. But they refused to let it define them in a negative way. They used it. They squeezed the lesson out of it. They turned their wounds into wisdom. They turned their scars into strength. And because of that, they created a life that means something. You can do the same. You already have the proof. Look at your own story. Look at the pain that you thought would destroy you, but instead became the reason you're stronger today. And your pain has given you a gift, perspective. You see things differently now. You understand suffering, which makes you more compassionate. You understand hard work, which makes you more disciplined. You understand loss, which makes you treasure what you have. Pain recalibrates your values. It reminds you what matters and what doesn't. It sharpens your focus. It ignites your hunger. Without it, we stay asleep. Without it, we live small. With it, we wake up. And here's the truth. No one tells you the pain is not the enemy. The pain is the portal. It's the door you have to walk through to reach your next level. You've been praying for strength, for clarity, for purpose. Well, the pain you're in right now is the answer to that prayer. It's the training ground. It's the test that proves you're ready for what's next. Life doesn't give you what you ask for. Life gives you the people, the situations, the challenges you need to become who you're asking to be. And that's why gratitude is so powerful, even for the things that hurt. When you start to look back and realize, I wouldn't be here without that pain, you stop resenting it. You start to thank it. You start to see it as a turning point. You start to recognize that what felt like the end was actually the beginning. And then something even more powerful happens. You stop fearing pain in the future. You stop running from discomfort. You stop hiding from the hard stuff because you've already proven to yourself that you can not only survive it, but use it. And that's what in your life truly opens up. And you don't need a perfect past to build an extraordinary future. You need hunger. You need resilience. You need the willingness to feel the pain and keep moving anyway. You've been tempered like steel. You've been forged like a sword. You've been strengthened by adversity. That pain gave you your edge. That pain gave you your drive. That pain gave you your story. Without it, you'd still be who you used to be. But you're not. You've evolved. You've grown. You've stepped into a higher version of yourself. And the truth is, the pain isn't over. Life will test you again. It will stretch you again. It will put you in situations that challenge every fiber of your being. But this time, you're different. This time, you know how to respond. This time, you have proof of who you are. This time, you can smile in the middle of the storm because you understand what's being built. And in that moment, pain loses its power over you. You become unstoppable. And it's not about avoiding pain. It's about using it. It's about channeling it into something that serves you, something that serves others. It's about transforming it into drive, vision, and action. The pain that once made you feel small can now make you a giant. The pain that once closed your heart can now open it wider than ever before. The pain that once scared you can now set you free. And look at your life right now. Look at the areas where you're still holding back because of fear of pain. Maybe it's a dream you've been too afraid to pursue. Maybe it's a conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a change you've been postponing. Ask yourself, what if the pain you're afraid of is the very thing that will unlock your next chapter? What if stepping into it is exactly how you'll become who you're meant to be? What if everything you've been waiting for is on the other side of that discomfort? And when you embrace this mindset, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You start being the creator of your life. You stop saying, why is this happening to me? And start saying, this is happening for me. And that shift changes everything. Suddenly, pain becomes fuel. Setbacks become setups. Obstacles become opportunities. And you begin to see your life not as a series of random events, but as a perfectly designed training ground for your greatness. And you wouldn't be here without that pain. You wouldn't be this strong, this wise, this capable. You wouldn't have the fire you have inside. And because of that, you're ready to take what you've learned and turn it into power, ready to use what you've endured to inspire and lead, ready to stop hiding your scars and start showing the world what's possible when you refuse to be broken. And got it. Here's a 1,000-word continuation of the speech, picking up exactly where the first part left off, maintaining the same motivational tone, no name mentions, no headings, and no ending statements. And because here's the reality, the person you were before the pain could never carry the weight of the life you're meant to live now. That older version of you didn't have the depth, didn't have the grit, didn't have the perspective. Pain tore that version apart, so the stronger, wiser, more resilient you could emerge. It stripped away illusions. It ripped away comfort. It demanded growth. And in that process, it gave birth to someone who can not only survive, but thrive. And think back to a time when you were crushed, when you thought you had no options left. Maybe it was a loss that gutted you. Maybe it was betrayal that shattered your trust. Maybe it was a failure so loud it echoed in your head for months. You thought that was the end of your story. But what if that was the exact chapter that made the rest of your story possible? What if the pain you cursed was actually the seed of everything you've been waiting for? Life doesn't ask you to like it. It asks you to use it. And when you use it, when you decide to channel it into fuel, suddenly you realize you're far more powerful than you ever imagined. And the difference between those who rise and those who fall isn't the absence of pain. It's how they respond to it. Everyone feels it. Everyone bleeds. Everyone gets knocked down. The question is, do you get up? Do you stand back up when your knees are shaking, when your heart is heavy, when the odds are stacked against you? Or do you let it keep you down? That decision shapes your destiny. Every time you choose to rise, you build a muscle. You wire your nervous system to say, I am unbreakable. That repetition over and over is what creates a life of strength. And the truth is, most people live in denial about pain. They think they'll avoid it if they stay safe. if they play small, if they don't take risks. But safety is an illusion. Life will hit you whether you chase your dreams or hide in the corner. Pain will find you anyway. So why not decide that if it's coming, you're going to use it to your advantage? Why not step into the storm willingly, knowing you'll come out sharper, stronger, and more alive on the other side? That choice changes everything, because when pain comes, instead of asking, why me, you ask, what's this building in me? What's this preparing me for? And that mindset turns suffering into strength. And when you look at the people who've changed the world, their lives weren't easy. They weren't born into comfort that made everything smooth. No, what separated them was their relationship with pain. They didn't run from it. They let it sculpt them. They turned rejection into resilience. They turned heartbreak into hunger. They turned obstacles into openings. And when you look at yourself, you'll see that's exactly what you've been doing too. You may not give yourself credit for it yet, but every scar on your soul is a testament to your strength. Every wound you thought would never heal is now proof that you are tougher than anything life can throw your way. And the beautiful part is this: pain doesn't just give you strength for yourself, it gives you power to lead, to serve, to inspire others. Think about the last time you heard someone share their story of struggle and survival. Didn't it move you? Didn't it remind you that you're not alone? Didn't it light a fire in you to keep going? That's the gift of pain. It connects us. It reminds us that underneath the surface, we're all fighting battles. And when you own your pain instead of hiding it, you give permission to others to own theirs too. You become the proof they need that healing is possible, that growth is possible, that transformation is real. But it requires honesty. It requires courage. It requires you to stop pretending everything's fine and instead say, yes, I've been through hell, but I'm still standing and I'm stronger because of it. That kind of ownership takes the power away from pain and gives it back to you. It turns your story from something that happened to you into something that's happening for you. And when you shift that perspective, you reclaim your life. And every obstacle you faced has also given you a gift. Maybe it gave you resilience. Maybe it gave you compassion. Maybe it gave you vision. Maybe it gave you a drive that other people can't even comprehend. Don't overlook those gifts. Don't discount them because they came wrapped in pain. That wrapping paper is just the disguise. The treasure is inside, and it belongs to you. And I want you to imagine your life without that pain. Imagine if everything had gone perfectly. Imagine if no one ever hurt you, if no dream ever failed, if no moment ever broke you. Do you think you'd be who you are right now? Do you think you'd have the hunger you carry, the strength you wield, the depth you feel? Or would you still be shallow, comfortable, asleep? The truth is your pain woke you up. It made you alive. It gave you a fire in your soul that comfort never could. That's why when you look back now, you can honestly say, I wouldn't be here without that pain. And here's something even more powerful. The pain you've already endured is proof that you can endure what's coming. Life will test you again. It will knock on your door with new challenges. But now you know. You know that when you're faced with loss, you can survive. You know that when failure comes, you can rise. You know that when the storm hits, you have the strength to stand. And with that knowledge, fear begins to disappear. You stop being paralyzed by the thought of what if I fail, because you know failure is just feedback. You stop being haunted by what if it hurts, because you know pain is just preparation. You stop being controlled by what if I can't handle it, because you know you've already handled worse. And when fear disappears, freedom shows up. Freedom to act, freedom to dream, freedom to create, freedom to live with intensity without holding back, because pain has already proven you're not fragile, you're powerful, you're resilient, you're unstoppable when you decide to be. And the only thing left to do is step into that power fully without apology. And every time you use your pain instead of avoiding it, you expand, you grow, you evolve, you become more than you were yesterday. And the ripple effect is massive. Your courage gives courage to your family, your friends, your community. Your resilience lights a path for others still lost in the dark. Your strength becomes their proof that they can overcome too. That's why your pain matters, not just for you, but for everyone whose life you touch. And so don't bury it, don't numb it, don't wish it away. Use it. Use it as the fuel for your vision. Use it as the fire that keeps you moving when it gets hard. Use it as the reminder that you are alive, that you are capable, that you are destined for more. Use it to create a life that means something, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. And understood, here's a 1,000-word continuation, beginning exactly where the second part left off, keeping the same motivational rhythm and tone, with no name mentions, no headings, and no ending statements. And because when you decide to use it to create a life that means something, not in spite of the pain, but because of it, you step into a completely different level of power. You stop asking for life to get easier and start asking to get stronger. You stop looking for a path without obstacles and start becoming the kind of person who can climb over any obstacle. That shift in perspective is everything. It transforms the way you walk into a room. It changes the way you approach your goals. It changes the way you see yourself. Suddenly, the pain isn't your limitation, it's your leverage. And think about the times in your life when you were most determined, when you refused to quit, when you tapped into a level of grit you didn't even know you had. Was it because everything was easy? No. It was because you were tired of being where you were. It was because the pain of staying the same became greater than the pain of change. That's the moment everything shifts. Pain forces you to act. It pushes you past the point of excuses. It strips away the comfort zone you've been hiding in and demands you evolve. Without that pressure, without that discomfort, most of us would never take the leap. But with it, we break limits. And it's not just about survival, it's about creation. When pain shows up, it doesn't just teach you endurance, it gives you vision. It makes you hungry for a future that feels different. It makes you dream bigger because you've tasted what it's like to live small, to live stuck, to live wounded. That hunger is priceless. That hunger is the force that has built empires, healed families, written books, launched movements, and changed the world. It doesn't come from comfort. It comes from a deep, burning decision that says, never again, I will not settle. I will not allow this pain to be wasted. That's the kind of hunger that will carry you through anything. And there is a fire that is born in pain that nothing else can ignite. It's a fire that can't be taught in a classroom. It can't be handed down as advice. It can't be read in a book. It has to be lived. It has to be felt. It has to be burned into your soul through the moments that nearly broke you. That fire is what gives you the ability to push when others quit, to keep believing when the evidence says stop, to stand tall when everyone else bows to pressure. That fire is why you're still here. It's why you've kept moving when life gave you every reason to stop. And you don't need less pain in your life. You need a different relationship with pain. You need to see it not as punishment, but as preparation. Not as an enemy, but as a trainer. Pain is the weight in the gym of life. You don't get stronger without resistance. You don't grow without pressure. You don't evolve without being stretched beyond what's comfortable. And if you avoid it, if you keep running from it, you rob yourself of the strength that was waiting for you on the other side. And here's the truth. Pain never leaves you the same. It either hardens you or heals you. It either breaks you down or builds you up. The choice is always yours. Will you let it close your heart or open it wider? Will you let it bury you or will you let it be the soil where new life grows? That choice is where your power lies. And once you understand that, you'll never look at pain the same way again. And there was a time you thought you couldn't handle what you were going through. And yet here you are, breathing, sane, anding, stronger, wiser, more aware. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's proof. Proof that no matter what comes next, you have what it takes to rise. And when you look at your future with that kind of certainty, fear starts to dissolve. Because fear only has power when you believe you can't handle what's coming. But pain has already given you the evidence. You can handle it. You've handled worse. You've walked through fire and made it out. And because of that, nothing can hold you hostage again unless you let it. And the most extraordinary people you'll ever meet are not the ones who had perfect lives. They're the ones who turned their deepest pain into their greatest power. They're the ones who decided that their scars were not shameful, but sacred. They're the ones who chose to tell their story not as victims, but as victors. And that's available to you right now with your story, with your pain, with your scars. They are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of your survival, proof of your courage, and symbols of your resilience. Wear them with pride, because without them, you wouldn't have the wisdom you carry today. And in wisdom is everything. Pain gives you wisdom no textbook can offer. It teaches you patience because healing takes time. It teaches you empathy because you know what it feels like to hurt. It teaches you focus because you know how short life can be. And it teaches you gratitude because you've learned not to take the good moments for granted. That wisdom is priceless. It shapes how you love, how you lead, how you live. It transforms not just your future, but the future of everyone you touch. And so the question isn't, will pain come? It's, how will you use it when it does? Because it's coming. Life is not designed to be painless. It's designed to make you grow. And growth doesn't happen without friction. When the next challenge comes, and it will, you'll have a choice: to hide, to numb, to give up, or to lean in, to learn, to rise. And if you've been listening to your own story, You've been paying attention to the proof already in your life, you know which choice will make you unstoppable. And here's what happens when you stop fearing pain. You start chasing possibilities. You stop waiting for life to be easy before you move, before you dream, before you risk. You move now, you risk now, you dream now, because you understand that whatever pain comes with it, you'll survive, you'll use it, you'll grow from it. And with that kind of confidence, there's nothing you won't try. That's freedom. That's power. That's the life most people only fantasize about but never live because they're too afraid of the very thing that could set them free. And your pain is not random. It's not meaningless. It's not wasted. Every ounce of it can be fuel. Fuel for your goals, fuel for your relationships, fuel for your purpose, fuel for the impact you're meant to make. But only if you decide to stop resenting it and start using it. Only if you stop running from it and start facing it. Only if you stop wishing it never happened and start realizing you wouldn't be who you are without it. And here's the 1,000-word continuation of the speech, beginning exactly where the third part ended, keeping the same intense motivational rhythm and flow with no headings, no name mentions, and no ending statements. And only if you stop wishing it never happened and start realizing you wouldn't be who you are without it. That realization is the beginning of true freedom, because once you accept that your pain has been your greatest teacher, you stop resisting your own life. You stop fighting reality. You stop telling yourself stories about how it should have been and instead embrace the power of what actually is. And in that acceptance, you gain an unstoppable force, clarity about who you are, clarity about what matters, clarity about what you will no longer tolerate. Pain carves that clarity into you like stone, and once it's etched there, it never fades. And think about the times you've drawn a line in the sand and said, never again. Never again will I stay silent. Never again will I accept less than I deserve. Never again will I let fear keep me from moving forward. Those declarations weren't born out of comfort. They were born out of pain. They were born out of a moment so raw, so unbearable that you decided change was no longer optional. It was a necessity. And once you made that decision, you tapped into a level of strength that was always inside you, just waiting for the right spark to set it ablaze. And pain reveals your non-negotiables. It forces you to decide what you stand for. It strips away the fluff, the noise, the meaningless distractions. When you're hurting, you don't waste time on things that don't matter. You focus on what's real, what's lasting, what's true. That's why so often people come out of pain with a deeper sense of purpose. They start to see their life not just as a series of moments, but as a mission. They start to recognize that their experiences, even the darkest ones, can be used to help others. And that realization turns pain into power, suffering into service, wounds into wisdom. And your pain is not just for you. It's for everyone who will be touched by your strength, your courage, your story. The parent who raises children differently because they know what it's like to grow up feeling unseen. The leader who creates opportunities for others because they remember what it felt like to be overlooked. The partner who loves more deeply because they know the ache of loss. The teacher, the coach, the friend, the stranger who chooses kindness because they felt cruelty. All of it is fueled by pain. Without it, there would be no depth to your love, no authenticity to your leadership, no fire in your vision. The very thing you wanted to escape is the thing that gave your life meaning. And yet so many people still live trapped by their pain. They replay it over and over. They cling to it like a chain, letting it define them instead of refine them. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to be the product of your past. You can be the proof of what's possible beyond it. You can use your story as a weapon, not a wound. You can use it as a foundation, not a cage. The key is deciding that you will no longer let the pain own you. You will own it. You will take it in your hands and mold it into strength, mold it into strategy, mold it into fuel for everything you want to create. And that decision starts now, not tomorrow, not someday, not when the pain is gone, but now, while it's still fresh, while it's still raw. Because waiting doesn't make pain disappear. Waiting only gives it more control. But when you face it, when you lean into it, when you squeeze it for every lesson it contains, suddenly you realize the pain can't break you anymore. It can't control you. It can't limit you. It becomes your ally. It becomes the reason you're relentless, the reason you don't quit, the reason you show up every single day with fire in your eyes. And that fire is contagious. When people see someone who has walked through the fire and come out stronger, they are moved. They see possibility for themselves. They feel hope where before they felt despair. You don't even have to tell them what to do. Your presence becomes a living reminder that pain doesn't have to be the end. It can be the beginning. That's why it's so important that you don't hide your story. Don't bury it. Don't downplay it. Share it. Live it. Let it shine through everything you do. Because someone out there is waiting for proof that survival is possible, that healing is possible, that rising is possible, and you are that proof. And here's what's even more powerful. Once you learn to use pain, you stop fearing the future. You stop holding back because of what ifs. Well, what if I fail? What if I lose? What if it hurts? You already know the answer. You'll handle it. You'll rise. You'll use it. That kind of certainty gives you freedom. It gives you permission to dream bigger, to take risks, to live boldly, because no matter what comes, you trust yourself to grow through it. That trust is worth more than anything. It's the foundation of unshakable confidence. And imagine what your life would look like if you fully embraced that truth. Imagine what dreams you'd chase if you weren't afraid of falling. Imagine what love you'd give if you weren't afraid of losing. Imagine what risks you'd take if you weren't afraid of pain. That version of you, the one who lives fully, who plays full out, who doesn't hold back, that version is already inside you. It's just waiting for you to stop resisting the very thing that will set it free. Pain isn't the barrier. Pain is the doorway. Walk through it. And when you do, you'll realize something profound. Pain doesn't just shape your character. It reveals your destiny. It shows you where your gifts are needed. It shows you what problems you're here to solve. It shows you the message you're here to deliver. The struggles you've lived through are not random. They're the very foundation of your purpose. And when you align your life with that purpose, everything changes. You stop chasing approval. You stop chasing superficial success. You start living in a way that makes you come alive. And when you come alive, the world feels it. People are drawn to you. Doors open. Opportunities multiply because the world is starving for people who have walked through pain and emerged alive, awake, and on fire. And every scar tells a story. Every wound that has healed is a reminder of the battles you fought. Stop hiding them. Stop pretending you've never been hurt. Show them with pride because every scar is proof that you were stronger than what tried to break you. And the more scars you carry, the more proof you have. Proof that you're resilient. Proof that you're relentless. Proof that nothing can stop you unless you let it. And if you really think about it, isn't that the kind of life you want to live? A life where you don't just survive pain, but you thrive because of it. A life where you don't just get through it, but you rise above it and use it to lift others. A life where you look back and realize every wound was part of the masterpiece that became your story. That's what's possible when you stop running, stop hiding, and start embracing the truth. You wouldn't be here without that pain.